Do you have a pop filter yet?
Yeah. Oh, I reordered it. Oh, so... Okay, so this should be the start of the episode. So here's what happened. So remember how last week I told you about how I dropped my pop filter in the wind?
Yeah, you lost it in the wind.
Right. The wind cover for my microphone suddenly flew off in the wind, ironically. Wow. And I had been walking towards the car with the microphone held out because it was recording, and then when I got to the car, the wind cover was gone. And I was like, oh man, because it was really windy, so I guess it blew off. So then I didn't find it in the car. I looked everywhere, and I scoured the place. And so finally, after about a week after that podcast was over, I ordered more wind covers for the microphone, more pop filters. And then they came, and I put it on the mic. And then just yesterday, I found the original one in the car again. So there you go.
I love it.
I now have three wind covers for one mic. It's pretty good.
Perfect. Good stuff.
Anyway, so we were just trying to figure out a way to start the episode, and then you brought that up. Good. Just
stuff.
Need a way to get into stuff like
things
that, right?
rolling. Yeah, exactly.
You know what, Hitchcock? Forget news. We're not doing news today, right?
We aren't. Okay.
I mean, is there any news?
Yes.
There's been some new Justice League posters. Oh man. Like, how many posters?
It's absurd.
I don't know why I'm complaining about there being too many posters for a movie. Like, like what kind of a problem is that there's so many posters? But like, it's just bizarre. It's just like
so bizarre.
DC. I did a whole thread of all the posters they've done for Justice League. It's like they're just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah.
Like, they have no idea what the vision of their movie is. And we talked about this last week, how they changed all the color grading on the trailers, right? And like added in all these effects and stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. I don't even know. So
there's like 17 posters or something.
No, there's been, I think I counted 4 or 5 main theatrical posters, and that's not even counting the teaser poster with the logo on it. And then there have been, I think, 5 different, counting the one that just came out on Instagram that I just saw, 5 different like IMAX exclusive, AMC exclusive, Regal exclusive Justice League poster. And then they've done like 5 different lines of character posters, right? So they've done the there's the ones of them against the black backdrop where they're just like in fighting stances, and then there's ones where they're
it's just their face.
There's the ones of just their face, right?
Silhouettes.
Oh, yeah, there was the silhouettes, the side profile.
Yeah,
then they've just started releasing the ones that are just their face looking on, and it's got, like, the logo over part of them or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they've got the ones of them standing just on the hill with the Justice League logo or whatever, like, each one of them alone, full body shot. And then they've got, what else? Oh, there's the China ones. Could you really count the China ones? I don't know, but those are an entirely different character art poster line. It's just crazy. I don't understand why you need to do so many different versions of this. Yeah. What's the point?
I mean, like, and most of them, for the most part, they look really good. Like all these IMAX ones, they look great.
Yeah.
The art's so good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Lots of these posters look great, except for the awful, awful, awful one of all of them coming out in a circle, right? Of the weird Batman Forever look, right? The terrible one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. That's pretty bad. I'm looking at it right now. So, I don't know, dude.
They're really promoting the heck out of this movie.
They are.
Like
which concerns me.
It does concern me as well. I think that they know that it's people have doubts. Despite Wonder Woman, people still have little faith in the DCEU. Or sorry, not the DCEU, because it's not officially called the DCEU, even though they've all called it the DCEU for a while now.
I can't even.
The lack of vision on their part,
honestly,
is just ridiculous. Like, Zack Snyder has a vision, and that's what's cool. Like, you and I, in general, disagree with Zack Snyder's visions because they're bad.
For sure.
But he has a vision, and that's cool. But in his absence, and it looks like they're trying to kind of kick him off of the team now, even despite the whole daughter thing that was awful. even after that, it looks like they're trying to not have him come back for future movies. You're getting rid of the only person who had a vision in the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're doing that, please bring in someone with a better vision.
Yeah, maybe.
Or else just stop.
Because
this is so... it's just... Anyway.
It's a mess.
Should we... I said we weren't going to do news, and then we just started ranting about Justice League.
Yep, indeed. That's how we roll here.
It is. This is Blockbusted. Hashtag DC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I don't know.
That was the first hashtag in our first episode that we ever did. It was pretty good.
Memories. The memories. They're there. Love it. Was there any other big news? I can't really recall it. There has to be something.
Blade Runner is flopping in China. Can you believe that?
Really?
Yeah. Wow. I remember, because we said in our review, I was like, oh, don't worry, it'll make back its money in China because the Chinese people love weird sci-fi, big experience movies, you know.
Yeah.
But so guess what? Geostorm and Blade Runner opened the same weekend.
Oh, no.
And Geostorm kicked its butt.
Shoot.
Doesn't that make you want to die?
That's so sad.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest cinematic tragedies. And
That's really sad.
I mean, I guess that's just that sometimes you just got to accept that true art won't be appreciated by the masses, even though that sounds super pretentious and dumb. But because that's what people say about Batman v Superman. But to be fair, like Blade Runner has amazing reviews, so the people that saw it, for the most part, recognize that it's amazing, but it's just no one's seeing it. I think
such a bummer.
I think part of it's word of mouth, because like there are so many people who are seeing it who are just mainstream that are like, well, that was boring, and don't feel any need to recommend it to anyone. Like, I talked to somebody the other day, or my dad talked to somebody who said that both of their friends walked out of the movie theater.
No way.
In Blade. Can you believe that?
Really?
Who does that? I don't care how awful the movie is. If I was seeing The Boss Baby, I would not walk out of the theater. I have never walked out of a theater my entire life, and I would never do it ever. Because I want to stay, watch the full thing, and then judge. Yeah, that's not...
Exactly.
And then people go, oh, well, it was boring, so I walked out. Like...
Yeah,
it's just,
if you walk out of a movie
this attention span thing. We were watching Stranger Things last night, right? Which we're gonna get to at this party, and it was great party. I'm gonna get to that too. But so many people check their phones like all the time.
Yeah,
and it just clues you in as to how much of a lack of attention span there is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In this world where movies like masterpieces like Blade Runner don't get appreciated because people don't have the attention span to see something like that. Yeah.
They want the instant, just give it to me now. Don't make me sit through this. Yeah, that sucks, really, because, like, Blade, I mean, like, there's, like, I don't think I'd walk out of any movie, to be honest.
Right,
like,
no, I wouldn't. You know, I don't care if it's Transformers 5.
Yeah.
I'm not walking out. I'm not doing it. Because it's just not something that I do.
But still, like, if you say you walked out of one of those, like, I mean, this is Blade Runner 2049. I mean,
right.
Like, I don't see what compels you to walk out of this. I mean, unless
and
you're,
at what point would you walk out as well?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I thought it was one of the most gripping, engaging movies I've seen all year.
Yeah.
Every scene of dialogue felt weighty and big and cinematic.
It really did.
Felt like you were reading between the lines.
Yeah.
It really, like... And his whole journey, I felt, was very obvious. Like,
you
know, people go... I've literally seen comments of people going, there was no character development. What are you talking about?
No. Like,
what are you
way.
smoking
No way.
to say there's no character? Like, that's objectively false.
Yeah.
Like, there's some stuff that you could say that is obviously subjective, like, well, I didn't like the music. That's a fair complaint. Sure. I thought the music was phenomenal. But some people didn't like the music. Okay, fine. But factually...
No character development.
The character development in the movie exists. Kay thinks he's special. He's been fed this lie that he thinks he's got to be this special replicant to mean something. Yeah, some special K, if you please, sir. Mm-hmm. And across the movie, he starts to realize that maybe he doesn't have to be special to mean something, and giving yourself to a larger cause that's bigger than you is ultimately what makes you the most human of all.
Yeah.
It's so blatant. I don't... Anyway.
I don't see how you can say there's no character development there.
Right.
Unless you walk out in the middle.
Unless you walked out of the theater because you were like,
honestly,
yeah, I don't care enough to see the ending here.
I don't know. That's really disappointing.
It is disappointing. So, I obviously they're not going to do a sequel because it's making no money.
Which sucks too, because this has probably discouraged them to make anything like it. You know?
Right. Again, it's this thing where it was like, what was the other thing? Like Logan Lucky. I was like, can you please go see this to support movies that were risks for people and movies that are original? People go, oh yeah, there are no original movies anymore. There's nothing. No. There's no originality. Hollywood's just feeding us Transformers crap. You're just looking at the surface
when you say that. You're looking at the basic blockbusters that you get. You know.
Right. There are so many. I've see the thing is I've had this rant like 5 times on the podcast in the past year, but like there are so many amazing movies that come out every single year, and people just don't see them.
Yeah, they're not big enough.
And if you would see them, Hollywood would make more of them, and then you wouldn't be complaining about there's no originality. There's never been a loss of... There's never been a lack of originality in storytelling. I truly do. I can't ever bring myself to believe, like people say, that, Hollywood has just run out of ideas. No. It's just that the culture who watches movies doesn't like new ideas, and they like to see familiar things and brands that they know the name of, like Star Wars, to make themselves feel comfy. You know?
Yeah.
So
exactly. It sucks.
Right.
There's so many good movies out there.
Okay, rant over.
I know, honestly.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to rant about that today.
Check out the comic book movies, see if we have anything.
Right.
On my keyboard, which is typing right now.
Oh, gotta point that out.
Thor Ragnarok is coming out.
Yes, that should be our next episode, shouldn't it? Yeah.
That'll be good.
So I guess we've got 2 weeks to do the. We were thinking about doing a Rick and Morty Stranger Things episode today. But Stranger Things I think is going to take up the whole time.
Stranger Things happened. That's what happened.
It did happen. So we're saving that for another time. But so that'll have to be after the Thor Ragnarok episode. Oh, more DC news, right?
Oh, here we go.
You couldn't, if you'd had enough already.
Yeah.
They are making, what is it? Let me see this. Where's the news? They want to make...
It went from they are making to they want
to
make to they might make
to they won't make. DC has announced that they want to make a movie of... I'm trying to find the name of the character. Right, okay. They want to make a Deathstroke movie.
Yes.
Starring Joe Manganiello.
Manganiello.
Anyway, so it's reportedly in the works from the Raid director,
in the works.
Gareth Evans. So,
man, you're really butchering this today.
Oh, I know. I'm just ad-libbing the whole thing. No, but...
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, I like to think of DC as they're like a post company, and people just send them ideas for movies. And whenever they have one that they're like, that could maybe
that's
work.
That's a good idea.
They send out the idea to all the social media, and then they pick up the file, which has like the idea on it. It's like written like Deathstroke movie starring Joe Manganiello, right? And it's just on a title page. And they pick up the manuscript for the idea, and they just chuck it onto a giant pile of other ideas. And they're like, it's in the works.
So big right now.
It's in the works, baby.
So freaking big. Oh my
Let's find a director for The Flash first, shall we? Shall we?
Please do.
Okay. I think that's it. I think that's most of the big news that happened this week, which means that we can get into
the news of the week.
The news of the week, right? The capital T.
Capital
news
T,
of the
capital
week.
H, lowercase e. Lowercase N, capital E, lowercase W. Stranger Things, season 2.
Thanks for the alphabet lesson.
Yes, you're welcome. Stranger Things 2.
Okay, so Stranger Things 2. We're gonna just to preface this. Wait.
Yeah.
It came out yesterday. We're doing full spoilers just from the get-go, which is what we always do on the show because we have no tolerance for holding back.
We don't.
Our stuff we want to talk about.
Open up the floodgates.
And that'll also be in the title, full spoilers and blah, blah, blah. I'm assuming I may put the time codes for what we talk about in the description, but if we just end up rambling and not actually going from topic to topic, if we just end up just kind of talking, then I probably won't.
Yeah.
So check for time codes. They may or may not be there.
Indeed.
Is there anything else? So full spoilers. Came out yesterday. Might be time codes.
We both binged the frickin' thing all night.
We did, didn't we?
It was beautiful.
All right, so give your Stranger Things experience, Hitchcock. Give it to us. What happened? What'd you do? Where'd you watch? How'd you...
Yeah, well...
Yeah.
I got a good friend from our church who he's a huge Stranger Things fan as well.
Ooh.
And so we just planned to get together and just binge it. So, well, we weren't sure if we were gonna binge the whole thing all night through or just like watch part of it at night and then finish it in the morning or something.
Yeah.
But we were just like, yeah, let's go. And of course, we sat down. I think we started at about 5:15, somewhere around there, and we went hardcore till 1:15 in the morning, just nonstop, and it was so great.
That's pretty bloody good.
I mean, it really is. It's so. I mean. It was such a different experience than the first one, because it's, I mean, the first one...
Well, in the first one, you didn't watch on opening day, because I had to convince you to watch it for like a month.
I watched it a few months after the release, so I already heard about it. The hype had been building up. But, I mean, yeah, I had known nothing. I mean, just to... Like, it really was such an experience to binge this thing,
Yeah.
I mean, especially sitting down with, like, I know you felt this too, but just sitting down with a friend who loves it too, and just freaking out together, it was just so fun.
Well, and the best part was that we finished at exactly the same time.
Yeah, it was
despite our time zone differences.
Something
we
like
finished the last episode like 4 minutes apart.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
I think we started 5:15, 5:30, somewhere around there. What time did you start? Around 8?
We started at about 7:30, and then we took.
You took several breaks.
Yeah, several breaks. So I'll tell you what we did.
Yes. What did you do? What your experience?
So you're aware of my father's office, right? Which has a giant screening room in the top floor. Yes. And so basically what we did was we had a giant party, and we bought a letter wall from Stranger Things, like a big old the wall that Joyce paints all the alphabet letters on with the Christmas lights. That was at Spirit Halloween. They had like a whole officially licensed Stranger Things everything there. So costumes and stuff. So we bought the whole wall to take photos with and whatever. So that was cool. And then printed out like some fun props for a photo booth. I brought all my Stranger Things Funkos and the VHS Blu-ray and posters. I made some missing Will Byers and missing Barb signs that I missing posters that I put up around the place. And actually the one that says missing Barb, I made myself, and I put a number at the bottom that was on the viral marketing for Stranger Things. So like in New York, they had these posters up for Hawkins Power and Light. Okay. And they had a number to call for Hawkins Power and Light. And so I put that number on the Barb missing poster. And so when you call the number, it says like, "Hello, welcome to Hawkins Power and Light. We are located blah, blah, blah." And they talk about their whole mission and everything. Nice. And it's like, it's pretty good.
That's awesome.
But so, yeah, we had like 20 or so people there. Many of them were my sister's friends. So young middle school girls, right? And I was like, this is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, that's.
And one of them was maybe gonna bring an infant, which they luckily did not.
No.
So I was like, this is gonna be the end of the world. And I had maybe let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 friends or so. No, maybe 6. or 7,
Okay.
like 7 friends that I invited to, because I'm a very selective person. I'm not a man of many friends. I'm a man of
even though
a
you
few close
kind of
people,
just posted the invite on your Instagram,
Yeah, that's true. I put it out there for everybody.
Yes.
But so we started at 7:30. We had pizza beforehand. We watched the first 4 episodes. Then we took a break in between to have a Eggo waffle bar break. So we had whipped cream and blueberries and strawberries and stuff. And then we finished, and it ended about, and we took some breaks between. We would watch like 2 episodes, then take a break, then 2 episodes, and take a break. So we ended about 4 a.m. or 3:30 a.m.
Nice.
And it was pretty bloody good.
So good.
Like, it got pretty rowdy at times.
Oh, I bet.
Everybody was screaming at points, and like they were like, "No, don't go in there! Oh my gosh, she's gonna die!" Blah, blah, blah. And there were a few times where I was like, "All right, quiet, please." But to be fair, I actually enjoy some level of crowd reaction when watching something. I've talked to a lot of people on Twitter who are like, "No, I hate that," and like James from the Weekly Planet, I remember, is always like. he was always like, whenever people cheer in a movie theater, he's like, "Why do people do that? It's so stupid." But
love it.
I don't know. I enjoy audiences who get
for sure. It's
invested in stuff.
Yeah,
because it shows that you're caring versus like if people were just talking about something else or having a conversation, that's a different thing. But like if you're invested, that's good. But so it was very fun to view it with a crowd because I hadn't done that with the first season. I watched it by myself in my basement at 4 a.m. one night. That was when I first watched season 1.
I love it. So good.
But yeah, it was just super fun, and the season was great.
It was. So great second season. Oh.
So there's our review, guys. Thanks for coming out.
It was great. We loved it. Solid.
So what did you think of Stranger Things season 2?
We've got to dive into this.
I guess we do,
We've got to open the wormhole. I was, the whole time, I could not stop grinning. It's just, I knew, like, it's just, I absolutely loved it. From the moment it began to the moment it ended, I was completely invested in it,
Yeah.
Just, I was so happy with how they were doing it, It didn't feel overkill. It didn't feel like not enough, It was very satisfying, and I mean, just overall, just in every aspect, the music, the characters, the effects are better, the cinematography, the editing, the sound design, it's just so, you can tell they have that production value now, They have the money and funding to do this, and they really stepped it up, I thought. And but it wasn't like one of those step ups that like step up.
It wasn't like bigger is better.
Fans. Exactly. It was still very very contained. I mean, it did explore a bit more than the first season did.
Well, yeah, it was bigger for sure, but
it still felt very Stranger Things, So, which I was so happy, so pleased with how it all worked out in the end.
I saw some people. I think some people at the party, and then I saw some people just online and stuff say like. They were saying, like, the first 2 episodes or 3 episodes were, like, really boring and hard to get into, and then it finally kicks into high gear. But I was like, I disagree. I was very, like, from square one, I was like, I'm on board.
And that's the thing. It's like, if you're looking at this from, like, a TV show perspective, I can totally see that. Like, if you're watching episode to episode, I'm like, okay, yeah.
Right, if you were, like, watching an episode every night.
Exactly. But
the first episode would be pretty disappointing.
Yeah, the first 2 through, I don't know, 4, me and my friend, we just sat there and we just played through,
Yeah.
And it, like, I cannot distinctly, except for one, episode 7, I cannot distinctly point out the beginning of the end of each episode. It's just blurs. Yeah. It's a movie, and so, like, sure, as a show, as episodes, it drags a bit, but as binging the whole thing, it doesn't, for me especially, it didn't feel like it dragged at all, which I love, and I was just so pleased with that. So
well, and it's so clear. I mean, they did this with season 1 too, but it's so clear that they they built it to be binged. It is not.
Oh yeah.
It really isn't a show that's built to be an episodic.
I know.
Like,
yeah, the whole time I was just turning to my friend like, imagine if we had to wait a week between.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine. You know,
yeah.
It's just so. Yeah, it's like no, I cannot handle it. You know, it's totally meant to be binged, which I love.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, even like the 5-minute breaks we took, I was like, okay, we got to get back.
Get back
to this.
I think we took a break like what was it? I think after episode 6. Yeah, after episode 6 we took a break.
Yeah.
For a minute, and then we just sat back down like, okay, we're not getting up till we're done. Okay, we sat there for the last 3 hours just engrossed, you know.
Yeah, I think I alternated between I sat in like one of the stadium chairs that my dad has, and then I sat in a director's chair, and then I sat on the floor, and then I sat in a sleeping bag, and then I sat on a pillow. It was
no man, same chair. The
wild ride.
The whole 9 hours. I was in the same exact chair.
Man,
boy,
I can't do that. I squirm. I start to squirm if I don't know.
It was a recliner chair, so we're okay.
Oh, well, there you go. If it was AMC recliners, that'd be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going back and forward, you know. Squirming. Oh, it's great. Nice.
So why don't we talk about some of the like technical stuff
first?
Yes. So the non-story related things, just the filmmaking.
And it was
I thought
great.
visually
it was great.
This season was better than season 1.
Yeah.
Just from like the colors, to be the color grading Nazi that I am. I thought the colors in this season were better than last season. Last season was very gray. Very muted, and that's fine. It works.
Fit with the tone, you know.
Yeah, this one it's got a few more blasts of color, if you please, sir. It's got the arcade is very colorful. The
upside down even, you know.
The upside down is even more colorful. It's more like bluish. And even like some of the characters' costumes I noticed being more color, like Joyce wearing that yellow jacket and stuff. It just feels a lot more bright, and I enjoyed that. And the cinematography is nice too. I think it's much better.
It is.
It's much better than last season.
Yeah, I was pointing that out. I think they probably upgraded the camera. It looked a bit clearer.
It did, yeah. There were some shots, especially of like 11, oddly, that were like, this looks very crisp.
Yeah,
like almost too clear and perfect.
Really especially for like a 80s based, you know. Like season 1, you distinctly had that feel.
Right. I wonder.
It might have stepped back a little bit.
I wonder if maybe because I've seen some of the not science, but like the process of how they did season 1 and how they actually did put filters over the footage to make it look more old-fashioned and 80s. And obviously they didn't go like over the top with it. They didn't put like a VHS filter over it or like all this grain or something. But like they actually took real blank film cells from the 80s and like filtered it through those or something. That was what they did with season 1. So that it didn't look perfect or crisp all the time. So what I'm wondering is I wonder if they didn't do that with this season. Like I think that's fully possible.
It might have been.
Yeah. Cuz I did like some of the crispness of it, but also I was like it does feel, especially like in episode 7.
Oh yes.
Which we're always going to come back to.
Yeah.
But that episode feels very modern. Even just from a visual perspective, it feels kind of like more 21st century in terms of the tone of it and how it was made. I don't know.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Like the opening scene opens in the city. I'm like, is this present day? But then you have the cars, and the cars are from the 80s, you know? So it's like, oh, well. So I don't know. But like, cinematography was great. Another thing I noticed was had some really cool editing shots. You know?
I was going to say that,
Had a lot of like open the door and you're in a whole different place, you know, or slam down something and bang, you're here.
Right, yeah. There's a lot of fun little editing things, and they sort of play with the sound design as well.
They really did, yeah.
With giving these objects like all this weight and stuff. Like there's a bit where like Hopper is like rewinding winding the police. It's like the little typewriter that they write police reports on or whatever.
Yes.
And that was very like blatantly sort of ominous almost. And there were a lot of things like that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, like edits where there were a lot of like subversions of the jump scare almost, where they fake you out with a jump scare and then it's something mundane.
Exactly.
which I wasn't always a fan of.
No.
Because they felt like, and especially in this crowd where people were screaming at every jump scare, I was like, you're taking advantage of us a little bit. But, yeah, I did like the subversion of some of that. The editing, it was really good in terms of that, and I liked how it told the story.
Yeah.
But I noticed a lot more continuity errors this season.
Did you? Okay.
I wouldn't say it's like a huge problem or something that I notice all the time, but I noticed maybe 3 scenes where I was, and I'm sure if I went back there might be more, where it was very, there was a scene where Joyce is talking to Sean Astin's character Bob, and you've got the shot of him over her shoulder, but you can see her face, whether she's turned to face him or turned looking down or something, and then the shot of her over his shoulder, and they show a shot of her looking at him from his perspective, and then they'd cut to her, and she's from her perspective, and she's looking down, lots of stuff like that. And then there was a scene where Hopper was smoking a cigarette, and it keeps being back and forth from his lips, it's cut, it's here, cut, it's there, cut, it's there. So just stuff like that, I noticed. But
yeah, I think I noticed the one with Joyce and Bob talking.
Yeah.
Just a few, maybe some. I think one of it might have been some the audio almost didn't sync up correctly. It turns and you see their jaw move, but nothing.
I hate it when that happens. Yeah, I noticed that. I am so particular about that in movies. I notice that when they do that, and I get that it's just filmmaking and that
there's arrows.
All movies are movies, and so there is a level at which you're making a movie. It's not always going to be perfect, but I do that whenever you see someone's chin moving from behind them or something and it's not matching up with their words, I'm like, oh man, I wish I could. OCD, yes, right?
Yes, indeed. It felt like it had some, I don't know if it was just me, but it felt like it had a few Edgar Wright-esque cuts,
Yeah, the transitions and stuff.
Yeah, the transitions, exactly. I think there's one. Is it one where
And by Edgar Wright, you just sort of mean the sort of jarring,
loud
and almost
sounds,
object.
I think
object and sound design based.
Yeah, I literally think there was one in a car where you see him get in, slam the door, pedal on the gas, and then go tires going away or something.
Right, it was very Edgar Wright. Yeah,
especially coming right off of Baby Driver.
That was very Baby Driver. Yeah,
I was like, ooh, Edgar Wright-esque, which I'm cool with. It did. It's just. Right. Something I noticed, I can't tell if it, I guess it fit all right, it is, when you get that kind of, Edgar Wright, he has such a distinct style, and it's really.
Of course, he didn't invent those things, but they really have become synonymous with him. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it did at times maybe feel a little bit out of place for this 80s feel,
Yeah.
But it's all right, No harm.
What did you think of the music?
I loved the music.
Are you talking about the score or the soundtrack?
Soundtrack.
Score or soundtrack? So score would be the composed music. Soundtrack is the 80s music.
Score, yes, the score. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely love the score.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Without you were wrong if you hate the score.
It was good. I did feel they reused some tracks too often, the kids soundtrack from the first one.
No, I thought. I noticed that they did that, but it was threaded within that that's the kids' theme,
Right? Yeah, and I have no problem with bringing that back, but I think my problem was just that some of the score was. Instead of, in some sequels, say, The Avengers, which people will say The Avengers is a terrible soundtrack. It doesn't. It's Alan Silvestri. Alan Silvestri does not make terrible soundtracks. They thread Captain America's theme in with the other music. So it's dun, 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 and it's dun, 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 dun.
Exactly,
that's his thing. These little motifs that thread through. But with this, they just reused the same track and just let it play is what it felt like to me, almost.
I don't know.
I distinctly remember a bit where they're walking on the railroad tracks and the kids' theme song commences, and I was like,
I don't know.
Oh, this is just kind of the same track. They're just playing it over this again,
Yeah. I didn't necessarily hear that. I heard it more entwined with what was already playing.
Yeah, and I need to watch it again.
Same. Yeah, I need to rewatch that. But one I did notice, they got the Demogorgon theme in there.
Ooh.
You know,
what's the Demogorgon?
It's I can't tell if it might be the underground, but it's like that really low drum, like the dun dun dun.
Oh yeah. Dun, you can always feel when something's about to happen when that theme starts playing.
Dun. You know, like after the Demogorgons run back into the forest, I think they play that little motif. I'm like, oh yes, that's nice. You know,
it's good.
Like, Upside Down had a little bit of vibe of that. So
yeah.
But
they did do some new ones that I liked.
Oh yes, for sure. Like the eulogy. Oh, what is it? I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I listened to it. I started listening to it before even watched the show, so I was already recognizing some of the tunes, and
right.
They got some great ones in there. So love the score. So you want to talk about the soundtrack, don't you?
I do want to talk about the soundtrack. Like I say, the score was good, but I had some problems.
Did the soundtrack trigger you?
I didn't think it was. In fact, I was actually disappointed by the soundtrack choices here, because in season 1, and like there's a new season, blah blah blah, but in season 1, it was so based around the music.
I can remember.
Right? Yes, exactly. Like. Oh my gosh, the scene where they play Heroes at the end of episode 3 in season 1
chills every single time.
Every single time chills. Yeah. It is probably the best scene in the whole series.
I can remember.
Because it's such a
heavy
perfect utilization of that music.
And
that soundtrack.
Definitely. Should I
Stay or Should I Go is utilized really well. Africa is pretty good. There's the Melt With You song that's played during the party or whatever, and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of distinct stuff that I just remember from season 1 that's like, man, so many good music choices, and you could see why they would put that on a vinyl soundtrack, because it's good. But with this season, I can't think of a single song that was powerfully used in any way.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely recall
what changed,
Yeah, I felt it was more of a 80s song for the sake of an 80s song.
Right.
Like I felt like with Heroes especially, I constantly go back and rewatch that scene. You know, I have a picture from that scene hanging on my window,
Yeah.
And so I just love it so much, and it's tied in perfectly with that scene. It connects, You take that song away, that scene's not near as powerful,
Yeah.
And so it felt like this. It's just 80s for the sake of 80s.
Well, and it's a lot more in the background too. Like that scene with Heroes is driven by the song.
By the song,
it's they wrote that scene to have the song in it.
Over it.
Right.
Yeah.
But with this, it was like, well, we shot a scene and now let's just put a song underneath it.
Sure.
Which I definitely wasn't a fan of. And also, like, the weird thing is, there was a ton of music, like probably more than season 1.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But none of it was utilized in a powerful way.
It wasn't memorable.
And even like in the first couple episodes, I was like, "Are we watching Baby Driver?" Because with every scene transition, like speaking of Baby Driver, with every scene transition, like a new song would start playing. It was. I was like, "There's a lot of music here, but none of it is being used in a way that is memorable."
Sure.
And then, of course, whenever the brother Billy would come on screen, it's like, heavy metal, yeah!
I would get so triggered, which we'll get to Billy.
Oh, God. Right?
But yeah, I totally agree with you on the soundtrack. I think partly that might be, we've watched season 1 multiple times, both of us, So I think maybe if we rewatch season 2 several times, one might stick out,
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I definitely do think you have a point there. Definitely not.
I want to know what changed to make them change that, maybe they, didn't know if they could get the rights to certain songs, and they were on a time schedule, so they were like, see, it would make sense to me that with season 1, they weren't, on a crazy fast, we've got to get this out thing, because they didn't know it was going to be popular. So they were like, let's take our time, we'll get the rights to this song first, and then we'll write a scene around it. But with this, maybe they wrote it, and they were like,
what song can we
I don't know, we have to get this out.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we have time to figure out the rights. So let's just write the script and then we'll put in music later. That would make sense to me.
Sure.
But I don't know. Yeah, it's fine. I just Season 1 has a lot more powerful use of music, as we've said.
Definitely.
What else? I've heard some people say the effects are bad. I don't know about that. What do you think?
Come on. They've stepped it up.
And even if the effects were bad, I feel like that fits within the 80s movie aesthetic, right?
Yeah, I mean,
the Demogorgon was always, it didn't look great, but it's got that odd, like, sort of claymation feel to it in some scenes, right? Where it almost feels like this 80s Empire Strikes Back-esque sort of claymation figure,
For sure, and I was talking with my friend the whole time. We were mentioning how it visually, like the production or the effects I think they do look better. I think they made Upside Down look really good, with all the flakes. That might be part of it being a bit more crisp, like we said,
Right, yeah.
But I felt like the demi-dogs, I thought they looked really good, And of course, I think they did. They were able to step it up a little bit just because they have that money, because it's so popular now.
I thought the Pollywog, like the little tadpole version, looked really good.
Sure.
Then the Demidogs, like, they sort of varied.
Sure.
Sometimes, like, when they were in low light, they looked great.
They looked great, yeah.
But and that's how it is with all CGI, pretty much. And color grading. Color grading is better in low light.
Oh, no way, huh?
But whenever you saw them in brighter light, or like the moonlight was shining on them or something, it looked real rubbery at times. Yeah. And again, like, I think you can just justify that with, it's the 80s, but
yeah.
It
didn't bug me. It didn't bug me at all.
The big old spider monster, the Mind Flayer, looked pretty great. Looked pretty sinister.
He did. Scary, man.
And some of the effects on certain things like Will, I thought were really well done. Like,
oh yeah, sure.
The faces he would make, like, oh my gosh, dude. The face he makes when they burn the thing and he's sitting on the ground in the cornfield.
Yeah.
That was the scariest part in the whole season. Like,
how is he doing that?
Terrifying. And I think it's I think they've distorted his face in some way in post. I think that's effects. Like, it's a Snapchat filter, basically.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was phenomenal. What they did with him, and like towards the end when he's got like the weird rash, the purple rash coming up his face as the heaters are going on him. That reminded me of the rash that Tony Stark gets in Iron Man 2.
Of course it did. Of course it did.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Is that's most of sort of the technical stuff, if you please.
I think so.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
Is there anything else? I mean, we could talk about performances, but I think we can kind of get into that in
good performances
in the bloody storyline.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So what did you?
That covers it. Yeah, for the effects and stuff.
What did you think of the general sort of way things went in terms of what they tackled, where the direction the story went, everything?
I think it's definitely cliche in parts. You get the big main organism that's controlling all these. Shut down the big guy. You've
right. It's the Phantom Menace, Chitauri exactly. Avengers style thing.
A lot of stuff has done that. And I am completely for. Like, I'm okay, totally okay. I was talking with a friend this past week about Homecoming. It does, like, Homecoming feels cliche in parts. Spider-Man Homecoming, very cliche, unoriginal. But I'm totally for it if they do it in a new, unique way, What was that? What was that?
I just dropped you. You are on my phone right now.
I'm hurt. I'm hurt bad.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with unoriginal ideas as long as they're done in a unique way.
That's what I say about The Force Awakens all the time.
Exactly. And so I felt like it was done in a very unique way. You can see its influences, you can see what it's taken from, but overall, I liked how it all played out. It didn't feel too fan pleasing, except for a little bit. Episode 7, which we'll get to. Yeah. But it didn't feel too like overblown, exaggerated. Yeah. It's just it felt bigger yet still contained to some degree. Mm-hmm. I liked how it all worked out, and I was surprised that they were able to do it so well, honestly. With all this hype building up,
Yeah, I know. It is phenomenal. And we had said for months leading up to it that, like, season 1 had no expectations. Nobody...
none at all.
...knew anything about what it was going to be about. Yeah. So, really, they didn't have anything to meet or anyone to please. No, so that's, and when it was not huge yet, everyone was like, I found this special thing that no one else knows about,
Yeah.
They captured lightning in a bottle. And so it was hard... We knew that it was going to be hard for them to capture that lightning in a bottle again and please expectations when now everyone has these expectations that they didn't have for season 1. But for the most part, I think the writers handled it really
very
well.
Very well.
And I had said a few weeks ago, and I think this turned out to be true, that the writers really, they knew what kind of traps they could fall into and they actively avoided them. Now, there are some things that, like, I've mentioned in the past how this whole podcast is I've mentioned in the past how because I just say the same things over and over again.
Exactly.
But I've mentioned in the past how, like, the trouble with sequels is that oftentimes many of them become very self-indulgent and be like, look, it's that thing you love.
You love this. You love
that thing. And we characters, we love this,
Yeah. Matrix, the second Matrix is a perfect example.
Right, and they take influence from the fan base's response to things. So, like, in Guardians 2, I think Guardians 2 does a good job of not being self-indulgent.
Definitely.
But, like, if they had been self-indulgent, they would have been like, and I think
they
did this a little bit. Right, Baby Groot, look at him, it's so great. You love Baby Groot. And also, like, we're the Guardians. We love music. We have a cool soundtrack. We have a rockin' soundtrack. Soundtracks are the best, aren't they? Music's the best. Music is where we come from. It's our heart, And it's like, okay, settle down. And that's what happened with Kingsman 2 as well. Okay, have we even talked about Kingsman 2 on the podcast? I don't know. It was awful.
You mentioned it in Pick of the Week. I don't know.
Right. But it was awful because it considered the first Kingsman to be like a classic or something. Like, the first Kingsman movie is great. It's so good. But it's not like it's not like a worldwide phenomenon. It's not like a film that's like, everyone loves Kingsman. It's so great.
Sure,
and now we can, like, parody.
It's not going to be for you.
Right. And it's not like it's become something where everyone remembers everything. And so in the second movie, like, first of all, they depend on the audience to know a lot of context from the first movie. That even, like, I, having seen it, had been like, oh, yeah, right. And even worse, there are scenes where, like, they parody scenes from the first movie. So, like, there's the bar fight scene with Harry, classic Kingsman scene, the probably the most famous scene in the first film, where he fights the guys in the bar with the umbrella. Right, manners maketh man. And in the second movie, Harry has finally come back, and he's not quite, like, on the top of his game yet. And so he does the manners maketh man scene, but then he, like, gets beat up. But it's, like, the same beat. Like, the music starts again. It's like, dun, 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 dun. And he does he closes the lock, and it's like, da-da-da. And, like, right, he flings the cup back, but he misses this time. And they're so clearly so self-indulgent. They're like, it's Kingsman. You love Kingsman. We're so classic. Isn't it funny? We're making fun of ourselves, So, all that to say, that long rant about Kingsman 2, to say, Stranger Things doesn't do that for the most part.
No, it doesn't.
There's a couple things, like, they make a big deal out of Eggos and stuff. Like, man, she really loves those Eggos. And I knew they were going to do that. I knew they were going to make that into a thing that was like, 11 loves Eggos, because that became such a classic thing after the thing came out. But for the most part, I think they did a good job of not doing that. And they even did some things that were actively, like, they could have so easily done a season where just all the kids are all the young boys, the squad, if you please.
Yes, the party.
They're just all together, and all
just kicking about around the neighborhood.
All kicking about, all being a squad, all solving things on their own, being like, we're the Stranger Things kids, dude.
We're the best.
Tubular. Yeah. And they didn't do that. In fact, they actually took some bold steps and split them up. Empire Strikes Back style, if you will.
Exactly, and you mentioned Guardians, like we mentioned, destroy the Milano, get that out of the equation, it takes guts to do that, because we love seeing Dustin, Mike, and Lucas, all three in the first one, with 11, just kicking it together, coming together, but now you can tell it's the party's breaking, you got new, Mike's hurt, and
well, and it had been so it was so bold of them. We're in spoilers, so we can say this. It was so bold of them to not have 11 reunite with them until the last episode.
That was brutal.
I expected that to be like episode 2 or something. But I love that they made that choice because it really does. It builds your suspense and tension for her to come back.
Mm-hmm. And when they finally
Mike
do
in the hallway,
when they finally do in the last episode, it's like, oh, finally, and I mean the scene where Mike beats up on Hopper, it's so brutal, it's so well, and I mean they took risks when they needed to, and hats off to them.
I feel like one of the things they didn't do as well was blending the homages and inspirations with new content. So, like, the thing that I've always said about the first season, I almost said the first film.
The thing I've always said about this, the thing I've said in the past.
Right. I've said this in the past. That's the new catchphrase. The thing that I've always said about the first season is that it's great because people say, oh, season 1's just a combination of all these 80s movies. They just took all these tropes and they combined them. It's so cliche. No, it is 100% not, because everything about season 1 takes familiar tropes of an 80s movie and subverts them. Yeah. They're taking familiar concepts that we know and playing on them. So, like, they're taking advantage of the fact that we think we know what will happen with certain things. So, like, Steve's the douche boyfriend at the beginning of season 1.
Yeah.
And we expect that to be like, oh, so he's the character who's going to die. Yeah. Turns out he's redeemed and he ends up saving the day. There's a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff like with Nancy and whatever. And even the whole thing with by the end you would expect the popular chick and the nerd always end up together. And actually she and Jonathan don't by the end of season 1. There's a lot of stuff like this. This season, there was less. And specifically with the characters of, like, Billy and Max, the new additions, basically. Like, especially with Billy, who's for those who can't remember, he's the mean brother, the abusive brother of the redhead girl. There was no subversion of the trope with him. Like, if this had been season 1, I feel like they would have done something where it was like, oh, either he turns out to be a nice guy, or, which is what happened with Steve, or like, I don't know. He remains a jerk brother for the whole thing. That's it. There's no subversion.
No development in his character, really.
No development, and they try to humanize him, oddly, towards the end with his father lecturing him, but it doesn't quite work for me.
That felt a bit out of place. Like with, I mean, both of them, they were okay. I enjoyed seeing Max, especially. I thought I liked her. But, I mean, Billy, it felt like they were trying to do something with him, but they weren't able to.
Right, they were like, just play some rock music whenever he's on screen, and then it'll be good.
Yes. Look at the butt,
And also it was like, he wasn't quite... First of all, why does he hate Lucas? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's just racist. I don't know, But second of all, like, he walked this thin line between, like, he wasn't quite evil enough. Like, the bully in It, who's very similar. Very similar. The bully in It is, like, a total horrific Hitler. Like, he takes these kids and he, like, takes a pocket knife and, like, cuts the fat kid's stomach. And, like, threatens to cut his hair off and whatever, and chases them with a knife and throws rocks at them, whatever. It's horrifying. He's a horrible garbage pile of a human. But with this, he wasn't that. And I like that, because no one like that exists in real life usually.
Yeah.
Bullies are bad, but they're not that bad. So I liked that he wasn't that, but at the same time, he wasn't a normal bully either.
Uh-huh.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is he felt like this weird middle ground between he's not quite evil, but he's also not quite believable as a human, you know?
Yeah. For
it's
sure.
He's too much of a jerk to be a normal person, but he's also not enough of a jerk to be a good antagonist.
Yeah.
And I also felt I guess we're just going to talk about characters now. So
let's just segue right into it.
I also felt like it would have been good for him to... his character would have served a better purpose if he was actively trying to stop their plan towards the end. If he chased them into the tunnels,
sure,
and they had to keep fighting him, or he kidnapped one of them or something, you know. Yeah. But with this, it was okay, we've got to get this threat out of the way. Let's fight him, and then he's down. Okay, let's keep going with our mission. You know?
Yeah, he's just easily shove him out of the way. Basically.
And I quite enjoyed the fight between him and Steve. That was real good. And when we were in the rowdy crowd, I was we were oh yeah, beat us, you know.
I was literally from the minute he showed up, I was waiting just for Steve to just destroy him, you know.
Yeah.
And which he doesn't, you know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he does gain the upper hand, but he immediately loses, which I like. They stayed in continuity with the first one with Steve, you know, because Jonathan beat Steve, you know.
Oh, yeah.
In the first one. So I'm if Steve beat Billy, this dude who we've seen lifting weights, you know, and it's that wouldn't be believable, you know. But I really was so glad when he did get a little bit of a beating by Steve, you know. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Billy he definitely, there could have been more there, should have been more there.
Right. Well, the problem is that he exists to heighten the tension, but not really do anything that progresses the story forward. You could cut him out of the story and it would play out the same way. That's, really you know, they would just not have to deal with him, and then they would go and stop the thing anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter at all.
And I felt the same way about Max as well. I didn't
like
her.
I think.
Yeah, definitely a little bit less. She serves a better purpose than he does.
Sure.
She has a little bit more of an arc of becoming a part of their team, which I enjoyed. And I enjoyed her sort of distaste for their mistreatment of her.
Yeah.
They're just here, come with us. No, we're not going to tell you this. Here, come with us. And you're they're being such jerks, and she's you're being such jerks. And I liked the bit where she drives the car towards the end and proves her Zoomer abilities, her Mad Max abilities, super reminiscent of Mad Max car.
Yes, yeah.
So she's got a bit more of an arc. She's got a bit more of a purpose served, and she also heightens the tension between Mike and Eleven. But I thought that was dumb. That was no, that was dumb. The whole fake thing where she sees him with her and she's oh, is he with her now? Yeah, that was poor. Just false sort of tension that they just shoehorned in, you know.
Yeah, it felt very cliche too. I knew when Mike was in the gym with her unintentionally. I knew, and 11 was hunting him down. You know, I knew. Yep, they're gonna show her, and they're not gonna meet yet. You know, so
right.
Very cliche, but
yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. See, and that is. I do feel like it was nice to give Lucas and Dustin a love interest of sorts. But that said, I don't feel like everybody needs a love interest. Toward the end, when they were showing all of them at the snowball, each of them had a date. I was just everybody doesn't need a date.
Dustin
you know,
did it,
it's
Dustin
man,
did
everything works so
know?
perfectly. Right, yeah, which I did like.
Yeah.
But, so, again, with her and with Billy, I do feel like you could have cut them out of the story and they nothing would have happened.
Easily.
And you even expect them both to maybe have a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
Maybe they're mutants of some sort, you know?
You really do,
but they're not. They're just a couple of normal kids who come along and then they sort of help.
Yeah,
right?
Billy keeps harassing Max, like, you know why we're here, you know, it's your fault we're here, you know what happens when you do this, you know?
Right, and you're like, what?
And you're like,
do?
oh, I literally was thinking, like, is she a number, you know? Is he a number, you know? I don't know. So it was very, like, what's going on here? And then it just kind of fell flat, you know, when they did try to explain it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bummer because, I mean, there was definitely something there. Something that could have been used much, much better, so.
Right.
Oh, well.
Well, and, you know, like, not all the new characters are bad.
No.
Sean Astin's Bob the Brain, if you please.
Oh my gosh.
Was so good. So good.
Yes.
So good. Me and
my friend were freaking out about Bob. We were he's a huge Lord of the Rings fan too, so when he first saw him,
I hope it doesn't suck.
I love it. So, yeah, I mean, he saw him and he immediately flipped out cuz I mean, Samwise Gamgee, you know. Come on.
Well, and not even that. The significance of him is that he was the star of the Goonies, you know, which is Stranger Things.
Sure.
It was so perfect to have the Goonies star in this. And there's even like so many little nods. There were a lot more nods in this season, I felt like, that were more like winks at the camera. Especially using some of the cast members. Like, so, well, first of all, there was the bit where Max was like, I thought the story was derivative and unoriginal.
Yeah, exactly.
That was good.
Exactly.
But what was I gonna say? I was just thinking of another movie that did that. What was the other movie we saw recently where it was somebody says, "Oh man, what was it?" There was another movie that we saw recently where someone says, "What if they don't like it? What if they think it's unoriginal or something?" And then the person they're talking to says, "F them." Or something. Do you remember that? Did you see the movie I'm talking about?
No, I don't think so.
No? Oh, dang it. What is this? Okay, anyway. I'm going to look this up on Letterboxd and see if I can find it. But keep talking.
Your history, yeah. But, I mean, Bob, you know?
Yeah, he's really good.
He is, you know? I felt like, I mean, I loved him as a character, you know? Mm-hmm. Kind of just going with the flow with Joyce, you know? He's thrown into this thing, and he's like...
Oh, it was La La Land. That's what it was. It was, Mia is talking about her play that she's writing, and then she says something about, which is what people said about La La Land. She says, like, what if it's too sappy and unoriginal? And it, you know, she basically says the criticism that people say about La La Land, and then Ryan Gosling says, F them.
Uh-huh.
So it's a little nod of the camera.
Definitely.
So that's what I was saying about nods of the camera. The other nod of the camera that I loved was the one with Bob, where he says, "What's going to be at the X in the tunnels? Buried treasure," which is a Goonies reference because they go in tunnels and find buried treasure. It's perfect.
That's great. Yeah, Bob was so fun. You know?
And from the moment he's in the show, you know it's too good to be true.
I know.
You know,
we were. Yeah, I mean, me and my friend, we were
because either he's going to be a traitor or he's going to die. Did you? Was there ever an inkling in your mind that he could be a traitor of some sort?
It was, yes. Me and my friend, we both were discussing that a few episodes in. We're like, oh, I think he might be a spy or whatever, you know, spying on Will, keeping tabs on him. But then he mentions going to Maine, and we're like, oh, no.
That was the other reference I loved. Yeah,
you know?
All of Stephen King's books are set in Maine.
Oh, yeah. So
Stand By Me, is set in Maine. And he's like, let's move to Maine. It'll be more safe there. And I'm like, hey, I see what you did. I see what you did there.
That's great. Yeah.
It's really good.
Oh, that's super fun. But yeah, I mean, there was little doubt. But then once he's like, I'll do it, we're like, no. Yeah. You know, we were fuming because Bob, I mean, he's so fun. He comes to Joyce's house to give Will puzzles. And then he's
he says
I love
into puzzle brain activities as a kid when I was sick. There was
he's thrown into this and he just freaking goes with it.
Right,
you know?
I love it.
He's so chill. He's just sitting there, or he's looking around. He's like, "What?" And he's all of a sudden like, that's Love Lake. I know that shape, you know?
Yeah.
And which means that he is so good. I absolutely love his character. And, like, he's in the tunnels, and they just rescued Hopper, and Hopper's like, hey, Bob. And he's like,
well, yeah, that's so good.
And it's just so chill, you know? He's just such a fun, kind character, you know?
Right.
And
so likable. And also, like, so sad. I loved his. He's a person that would really exist.
He is, yeah. He almost.
I loved his dorkiness, right? Mm-hmm. I loved all the things where they were like, and he's laughing at the cheesy, comedy that they're watching or whatever.
Yes.
Can't remember what they were watching, but, and then there was the bit with him, where he's filming everyone. Right, and that was totally a thing. Like, my dad did that in the 80s and 90s and stuff with a video camera. He would just go around filming everything that would happen.
So good.
And him working at Radio Shack was great. And telling Joyce how to set up the VHS-C.
Such a good dude, man. Come on.
It's really good.
I love him. And then saving the day at the end, you know. You know what really got me, though? I was just thinking about this after the fact is... Will has one of his little seizures or whatever, and then he kind of wakes up and he doesn't remember who Bob is, right?
Yeah.
That's the last.
And you
memory.
think that maybe means he's a traitor or something?
But
did you think that?
No, not necessarily. No, no. Yeah, we didn't think that. I don't think. I just kind of went with it. But that's the last memory that Bob has of Will.
Oh.
And then he goes and dies, even though his girlfriend's son has forgotten him. You know, he still saves the day. So
the sad part is him giving Will advice that
I know.
For the moment, he gives Will that advice to stand against the monster and say, "Go away." I was like, nope, it's not gonna work.
Oh no,
it's not gonna work with this
brutal.
Monster. But he's such a good intentioned character, even though that happens. It's really good writing. I really liked him. He's and obviously, even the writers have said this phrase exactly. He's the Barb of this season.
Yeah, but he's
Justice
better
for
than
Bob.
Barb.
Yeah,
Barb is.
He definitely gets more screen time. There was a article that said how they had planned to kill him off in like episode 4, but Sean Astin did such a good job portraying the character that they were like, no, let's just keep going and have him still be a part of it.
Yeah.
So it's quality.
So good. Wait. I need to pause. I need to let my dog out. Dog is in the room scratching on my door.
Oh, here we go.
I'll be right back.
Here we go. Let's see.
Get out.
What else could I talk about? I'm trying to think. Just rambling.
All right, we're good.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that. That's. I knew I shouldn't have let her in here. Oh well.
Right, of course. Never let dogs in the house.
Oh, come on.
Who let the dogs in? Woof,
Who let
woof,
the dogs
woof,
out? That's me. Oh well. Alrighty. That's Bob.
Should we keep like talking about stuff based on character, or
Bob
should we?
Is the greatest.
I guess that's the best way to do it. The other addition that I enjoyed was the scientist, the new doctor scientist character who works at the compound. Played by Paul Reiser, who is the dad in Whiplash, and he's great in that. And he was actually in Alien. So another little 80s homage there. I really enjoyed him because you think he's either going to be just a real great guy or the same Matthew Modine Brenner character all over again. Or like he's the bigger bad,
Yes.
But turns out he's actually just kind of a complicated guy trying to do his best.
Yeah,
exactly. And I liked that.
Were you getting the impression that, the whole time I was like, oh, I feel like these dudes are still not trying to help, they're still doing their own thing. But then towards the end, you really do realize that, he is doing his best to help, and they really aren't the bad people.
Yeah.
So I
like that subversion because it was funny that the scientist people, I'm not sure what to say about it because like the vans like show up at the tunnel place at that one point, and they start like torching it and whatever. And as soon as the vans showed up, everyone when we were watching it was like, "Oh no, it's the scientist people!" You know, because we've been trained to think that from season 1, where it was like, "Oh no, it's the Hawkins Power and Light people!" You know. But with this, it turned out that for the most part they were good, trying to do their best.
Yeah, for sure.
Although they definitely caused some trouble here and there. But I guess I do like that it was more complicated than just good or bad. Yeah. I do enjoy that. Yeah, he was a good character. I liked the way that he came across and everything.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
I do think, though, because he's the one that says the thing about we have to cover up the truth that Nancy records. And then he's the only one who doesn't go to jail or anything.
Yeah, he doesn't get sacked, for sure.
Like, what? If you're not going to get him, what's the point? You know? Yeah. But I guess maybe he was living in hiding or something. Sure. Because he has
I don't know. He's back in the diner eating some sandwiches.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit odd, but he was a nice addition, you know, served his purpose.
Yeah.
Indeed.
What did you think of... I'm trying to think of what subplot to next address.
Yes. Where do you want to go with this very esteemed podcast?
There's so many things we could get into because
there
like
really
every subplot.
Really are.
Why don't we start with Will?
Willie, my boy.
Yeah. What did you think of Will's whole sort of journey and everything, and the way that he's like being taken to the compound, the science thing to be tested, and all this stuff? You know.
I mean, I thought it was nice way of incorporating Will. I thought it's Noah that plays him, right? Noah
Schnapp. Yeah.
Schnapp. I thought he did.
Schnapp.
But I thought he did a great job performance-wise.
Oh, yeah.
You know, several scenes especially. It's like, oh my gosh, that is just so heavy. And like when he's explaining to his mom what he saw, you know, it's just great performance by him, you know. And I like what they did with Will's character for sure. You know, I mean, he is. You could tell he's scarred. You know, I loved how you have that. You can really feel that he's not the same. He's having to be watched by his brother and his mom, and he's paranoid about that. You know, he's nervous of what the other kids think about him. You know, about his mom bringing him everywhere, picking him up. You know, and you can tell that. And so I thought that was nice, and the whole thing with him going through the upside down and back and forth, essentially. You know, they didn't explain it at all, really, why that was happening. You know, it just was.
Yeah.
And so, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with things being left unsaid, because you know that adds to the mystery and wonder of most things.
The wonder, the intrigue, the mystery.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, overall, I really liked what they did with him, and really made me love Will even more. You know, because we didn't see much in the first season.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I definitely thought that he, you know, like, they must have auditioned these actors with something in mind other than what they were going to do in the first season.
They are all phenomenal.
I mean, he did a good job in season 1, but he didn't have to do much.
No, he did not at all. Curl up.
He hangs out with them at the beginning, fun little bit, and then he curls up in a ball and rocks back and forth and sings "Should I Stay or Should I Go" for the whole season.
Yeah.
But this time, he's the best actor out of all the kids.
He really
he deserves an Emmy. You know?
Oh my.
Phenomenal.
Without a doubt. You know, like I said, the scenes where he's like crying, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you know?
Where he says, I felt it everywhere or whatever.
Exactly.
It's phenomenal.
Know? It's so just... It amazes you that kid actors are this good, honestly, you know? And it's, insane, for sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed him being the emotional center of it again. Obviously, that, you know, it is a bit of a thing where it's season 1. There are bits in the show in season 2 where it is kind of like, oh, we're doing season 1 all over again, are we? Okay. Where, again, it's like Will is the center of everything. We've got to save my boy! What about my boy? You know? take a shot every time Joyce says "my boy," and you'll be dead. But I think it works, even though it is similar to season 1. It works
because he is
with him being the emotional center. Maybe he's not even the emotional center of just season 1. He's the emotional center of the show. Yeah. Even there were some bits like the whole putting the maps up around the house and everything. It's like, oh, so this is the new Christmas lights thing.
I was thinking that as well. First you have the lights, now you have this. So
right. But I think it worked, and he's just great. And I liked him being the emotional center, as in like the scene where towards the end they're giving all the stories to him, trying to wake him out of the trance.
So good.
To remind him of who he is and everything was phenomenal. Mike saying the thing to him, and Joyce and Hopper and everything. Yeah, it's really, really emotional.
Great
and
acting
powerful and
again, good. On his part.
Yeah. So, and he played the whole possessed thing really well. I mean, it totally turns into an exorcism thing by the end, like where they're totally just trying to get a demon out of him. Yeah. And I liked Joyce being fed up with this crap. Yeah. Like she's just like, I'm so done. And even with her own son, like I feel like in season 1, she wouldn't have done the whole let's turn up the heat on him until the thing comes out thing, right? No. In season 1, she would have been like, my boy!
Here it was Jonathan that was wigging out,
Right.
He was like, stop.
Joyce was like, you know what? I don't give a frick. I'm getting this thing out. I hate it so much. I'm fighting, And I liked that she's evolved. It was interesting. I was wondering how much she was going to evolve. Maybe we'll talk about Joyce now.
Let's.
I wondered how much she was going to evolve from season 1 to season 2, because like it would be fun for them to do a like a Terminator-esque thing where in Terminator 1 Sarah Connor is a helpless doll, and in Terminator 2 it's been like 10 years or whatever, and she has a son, and now she's like weapons dealer, she's all buff, she's like, I fought a Terminator and now I'm a strong woman and stuff. Yeah. So, and I remember that being, I mean, that's a big thing that was a big thing for people in the 80s was being like, oh my gosh, Sarah Connor is now jacked. Linda Hamilton, the actress, got jacked to play the sequel. Yeah. So I was wondering if there was going to be like an evolution of that, of Joyce when we saw her in season 2. Yeah. And there was less. She was more like overprotective of Will, obviously. Yeah. But I think that arc started to happen by the end, where she started to get stronger and stronger. She was so sick of these stupid doctors telling her stupid mumbo jumbo. Yeah. And then she was just like, I'm going to solve this myself. I have a gut feeling of what's going to happen. We're going to do it. For sure. I'm fighting this thing. And I really did like that. That was really good.
Yeah, and I loved her whole dynamic with Will and being the overprotective mom, It was really nice, well done on her part, and nice development in that aspect of her just finally being able just to, torture her son basically, Yeah. Really is brutal, that whole scene, so. But yeah, I love Joyce, I did feel like she is basically the same as she was in the first season, just caring for boys, Right. Not much, she does have Bob in her life, and when he dies, that's
and I liked what that did to her character. Yeah,
definitely. So, but yeah, she's great overall. So really enjoyed seeing her again. So,
yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say about her. She's good. Yeah, that's about it. She definitely plays the confused, like, what's going on? I'm freaking out thing a lot better than she does the normal mom thing.
Yeah, sure.
Like, as an actress, sure. Winona Ryder is a lot better at freaking out than being normal. Yes. So that's a good
just like how Samuel L. Jackson's better at being this.
Right, Samuel L. Jackson's a lot better at being, get these mother effing snakes off my mother effing plane.
Yeah, exactly.
than being
sitting in a council.
I'm a stern Jedi master, and I'm going to tell you the rules.
Exactly.
You can't get married, Anakin.
No, you can't be on the council.
Oh, Lord. Isn't it funny that the one Jedi with the purple lightsaber is the most of a wet blanket, right?
What?
People, the one Jedi with a purple lightsaber, which would be so cool, is the one who's the most wet blanket out of all of them. Who's just like,
ouch. Yeah.
I hate life. Like, you took the coolest actor, Samuel L. Jackson, and you gave him the coolest lightsaber. People say that Mace Windu is cool. No, he's not. He's awful. He's the most boring character, and he's just like, the rules are the rules. And maybe Mace Windu is like meant to represent like the struggles of the like the problems with the Jedi, right?
Are you saying there's a deeper meaning to the prequels, Houston?
Oh my God, it's got so many layers.
Oh boy.
But anyway, I'm not even gonna rant about that. Mace Windu sucks.
Stranger Things.
Yeah. Let's talk about Hopper.
Yes, Hops.
What'd you think of the Hop?
Love the Hopper, you know. I love who he is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, season 1 he grows on you immediately. You know, you immediately begin to love him, especially with the dynamic with his daughter. You know, losing his daughter, and he has that fatherness to him. You know, and you see that when he adopts Ellen, basically. You know, brings her in, and that whole scene where he and her are fighting.
It's so good.
Oh my gosh, that is intense. Talk about acting. You know, seriously, on both of their parts, phenomenal work. Mm-hmm. But I love that scene. And as for his character, because he is trying to be a father, but he really doesn't know how at times. You know, he's really just an old single man. You know, and
you really do get that. It's so poetic of him to be taking care of her as a daughter and being a father figure again, but it gives everything more weight because it's like, this is my second chance. Yeah. And also, like, if I'm a terrible father to Elle, what kind of father would I have been to my other daughter? Yeah, you know, Sarah. Yes. I was a little disappointed. There were some things in season 2 that I was like so expecting them to explore, right? That we'd always speculated about. Like if you go back to our Stranger Things episode or season 1 episode, you know, we always talked about certain things like there were the tiger stuffed animals in his daughter's room and in Will's room and in Eleven's room.
Just left Sarah alone, honestly.
And then his daughter, we always speculated that she had been tested on somehow or whatever. But in this, there was no answers for any of that. Not at all. Which was a little disappointing. But maybe they're saving it for season 3. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it was a little odd that they completely seemed to drop any sort of context for his daughter, you know?
Sure, you kind of just left her in the dust.
Yeah. But anyway, he's fantastic. David Harbour is such a perfect person to play this role because he's so charismatic. Yeah. And he's like this, everything about him is likable and heroic and flawed for sure. I mean, he's not a perfect man, and he's so flawed, but yet he's not like Harrison Ford. He's not like some sort of like Indiana Jones perfect masculine hero. No, he's got problems, and
those problems are shown. Greatly,
right,
you know.
And he's not even fit either. I mean, he's kind of a chubby policeman. I mean, Sean Astin is chubby. David Harbour isn't, but he's not some sort of like super buff man's man. You know, he's totally
just a normal 80s
right. He's
guy,
such a perfect choice for this. He's heroic in the circumstances that he needs to be heroic. Like he's heroic by the standards of this small town policeman.
He's always able, you know. I mean, you can tell like he's just able to keep himself composed. He's able to calm down Joyce, you know, reassure her, you know, and really act as like the father to all these people, you know. He really is just such a good chief, you know, basically. So I really love Hopper. I mean, I've loved him since the first season. This made me love him even more with how they dealt with him. So,
Well, I did like how his character had evolved between the two seasons. Like, when we first meet him in season 2, like we see the cabin in the woods with the tripwire and the secret knock and everything, and it's like, man, he's become a lot more prepared for danger.
Definitely,
you know, than in season 1, where obviously he was just like, nothing bad ever happens in Hawkins. You know,
exactly.
Yeah, it's really good. Did you smell any sort of romance between him and Joyce brewing by the end?
I think a little bit, yeah. I mean, first season you don't feel it at all. He's just the chief helping her out. Right. But I think they do mention they went to high school together, right?
Yeah, I liked some of the backstory there, and the backstory about Bob being in high school, Bob the Brain.
yeah, that was nice, and I think I could see them together. Yeah, I don't know what they do with it, but
yeah.
I'd
always thought they should be together after season 1. I'd always thought that. Yeah.
But I also like him being his own dude with 11. You know, his own father to 11.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like since, I mean, the only father 11's known is the dude in the lab, right?
Papa. Yeah.
Papa.
Brenner.
Exactly, and she is literally scarred by him. You know, and like for Hopper just to try to strengthen like heal those wounds of this fatherly figure to her, you know.
Well, and her comparing him to Papa was very hurtful, and it really did. Like, you felt for both of them so much in that argument scene. It was so well done, where neither one was right, you know. And you could see how hurt he was and how hurt she was by each other. What was the thing I was going to say? Anyway, continue. Man. It was a good scene.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, what I was going to say was this. I liked that you got the sense that she could kill him.
Oh, yeah,
you know, like, you really did get a sense of her.
On her. He had nothing.
Awe-inspiring, untamed power.
Yeah.
And how, you know, like, she snaps the necks of the guards. And how, if she were to let loose, he has no power over her.
He has nothing.
Ultimately.
Nothing.
He's got some of the psychological advantages in terms of he knows how the world works, and he knows what words mean.
Sure.
And he could unplug the TV, which she probably doesn't know how to plug back in.
Yeah.
But ultimately she could kill him in a heartbeat, you know. Yeah. And I liked that dynamic, and having to rein that in and stuff.
Definitely. That was nice.
It was kind of a thing, though, you know, it's obviously a flawed way to live. He's trying to keep her captive and safe, and saying, we won't take any risks. And I love, he's like, I only asked 3 simple things. And one of those simple things is never leave the house.
Yeah.
Which seems like a pretty big deal to me.
Not so simple, eh?
That reminds me of the Big Sick comedy movie where his Muslim parents are like, we only ask one thing of you. We ask you to marry a Muslim girl. And it's like, I mean, that's one pretty big thing to ask, you know.
Honestly, live your life that way, yeah.
But yeah, everything about him is layered, and you really see the context of where he's been, what he's been through, what he's come from, how he's changed. So I really enjoyed him as a character. It's so good.
Definitely. Love to see more Hop. Without a doubt.
I guess since we're on the topic, we should probably transition into 11, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah? What'd you think
11.
of the treatment of 11 in this season?
11. The treatment.
The handlement, the handling.
She was definitely, she wasn't overplayed at all, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Which I like that. They could have blown her up.
What was that sound? Did you hear that sound?
No.
That was the weirdest sound. I just heard a sound from your phone that was like glass clanging, or like metal clanging.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a weird, hollow clang.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, never mind. Just keep talking.
I didn't hear nothing.
It was almost like a weird digital sound. It was like dong dong dong. Do you?
Is it your phone?
It was like I heard it from your end or something. It was like some sort of battery power down noise that sounded like metal clanging or something.
Shit, was it my mic? Let me check my mic.
I mean, I don't think our mics make sounds when they power down, but...
Yeah, my mic's still going.
Okay, never mind. Keep talking.
Yeah.
Another 11. #authentic Blockbusted moment.
Yes. Perfect. 11. Yeah, she was she was interesting. I'm almost gonna say she might have been my least favorite part of this. You know, maybe Billy and Max fall below her.
Yeah.
But I really felt like she was just like, I don't know, like her whole side mission. I wasn't on board with at all.
Right.
You know, the episode 7, just no. You know, I like.
Well, the stuff with her mom is good.
That was good, but even like, how does she have the knowledge to get there?
Yeah, well, she uses her powers to find them and stuff. And I did like the idea that her character's progressed. She talks more now.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a little bit more understanding of the way the world works. There's that nice E.T. reference where she's under the ghost sheet, who wants to go trick-or-treating, like E.T. does.
Yeah.
And even I think her powers have improved quite a bit because, like, season 1, you know, she can't do the whole find people in the weird black dimension. Is that supposed to be the upside down? I never really know.
I don't know.
I'd say it's the in-between, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, she's using her powers to do that. And
just through the static of the TV or radio. But even if
she doesn't need a sensory
it?
Deprivation tank like she did in season 1. So her powers have progressed a bit. So yeah, I enjoyed the way that she's evolved in the year since we've seen her.
Definitely.
And Millie Bobby Brown still gives a great performance, and I think she did a good job of giving that.
What's really weird is
after
season 1, we've seen all these interviews with Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah,
and she is such an energetic, young, charismatic girl.
Can be slightly annoying at times.
Oh yeah, sure. But to see her as 11, it was like, I almost can't unsee that, you know.
Right? Yeah.
So, it was odd at times,
and I felt that way with lots of the kids actually.
Yeah, sure.
Seeing the context of who they are in real life.
Yeah.
Versus on screen now. So like when Dustin does the hair thing towards the end, where he spruces up his hair, that was so good. But it was just, the whole time it was just making me think of Gaten Matarazzo, the cast, you know, the guy the actor,
Yeah, exactly.
And how maybe that was his idea or something.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and Millie Bobby Brown doing the whole goth, punk, MTV music video thing towards the end. What did you think of her whole new look? You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I wasn't on board with episode 7 at all.
Right. Okay, let's talk about episode 7.
I felt personally that was there for the sole purpose to please the fans.
Was it though?
That's what I felt. I felt like 8. She was just there because they wanted. Oh, there's other people out there like 11. You know, that's just give her to the fans. You know, I felt like.
Well, it was funny that they started the season with a clip of them,
really
and it's
odd.
like that's not like. Why is that the thesis statement of the season?
Doesn't come in at all. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know. I felt like that was just fan pleasing aspect, and I felt like they could have. I don't know how, but I felt like they could have developed her character without her having to go to the city or whatever and meet up with her. You know.
Yeah.
I felt like it was just very out of place, and
I didn't hate the idea.
Drag.
And I can see why they thought it might work. I liked the Indian girl and her cool mind powers.
Sure.
Although that said,
fan pleasing.
Did they just like?
They just threw it in.
It was too superhero-y. You know, it was too X-Men. It reminded me of The Gifted that we've been watching.
Exactly. I felt like it could have been handled differently. You know.
I feel like we wouldn't be complaining nearly as much if they had not dedicated an entire episode to it.
Oh yes, without a doubt. If they had been transitioning between,
if
Hawkins
they had cut it between you know, subplots,
definitely,
it would have worked a lot better. And even like people, like that's what Stranger Things is.
Yeah,
we've kind of been conditioned to the idea that. You know, Stranger Things, the formula, the format, the style of Stranger Things is we have a bunch of subplots and we cut back and forth between them, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so with that episode being all one, it was just bizarre and it felt off. And especially, you know, we end on a cliffhanger of this huge tension of the Demodogs coming out in the compound.
Oh, yes.
And then we cut away to that for a whole episode, you know? And I get that maybe that's supposed to increase the tension, maybe. But for me, it killed the traction a little bit.
Sure.
Like, when we came back to it, I was like, oh, yeah, this is still happening. Okay. And it took a little while to get back on board.
You think of, like, Nancy and Jonathan's little side adventure.
Yeah.
You know, they could have handled 11's exactly like that. You know, because, I mean, if you dedicated a whole episode to Nancy and Jonathan going to this dude's bunker or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been way out of place and boring and pointless, you know?
Right.
But they intertwine it that it works, you know? And they could have done that with 11, I felt. And it just could have been handled in a different way or even just the same way, but better, you know? Like you said, intertwining it, subplots. And
I liked how they took some inspiration from different things there. The whole, like, punk kind of outcast group.
Yeah.
Was very Blade Runner-esque to me. Like, it reminded me of the rogue replicants in the first Blade Runner.
Sure.
Especially, like, the guy with the mohawk and the girl with the frizzy hair and everything.
Yeah.
It was very replicant-y.
Replicancy.
And I liked that. It was very 80s, obviously.
Yeah.
Although, again, we mentioned it does feel slightly modern for some reason.
It feels out of place. Yeah.
But I get what they were going for, and I do think it was an important part of 11's arc for sure. Of her, because her whole arc is finding out where home is, you know, and finding out who I belong to, who made me, what's my purpose, you know. Yeah. And I thought that was good, and also it helps develop her power so that she can close the rift later because she teaches her to like move the train and stuff.
She teaches her to use her anger. And she becomes a Sith Lord.
Well, and I liked the bit where she doesn't kill the guy.
Yeah, that was nice.
So again, I actually liked the content of it. It was just without any cutaways. It was so drawn out,
out of place, and
it made you miss Hawkins. Now, arguably, you could say that was the point, and I actually think that maybe they intended this, where like, it was like, you know. Basically, she's gone away from Hawkins, and we know that this group of punk people isn't her people. You know, it's so clear, and especially like it looks like maybe they might be, and we're like, as the audience, we're like, no, we don't like these people. Please don't put her with them.
Go back,
go back to Mike. And so I think it did a good job of making us want them to be together more and making us miss sort of the simple, familial, small-town warmth of Hawkins, you know, that ties these characters together and makes us appreciate their human relationships a little bit more, and how 11 does belong with them, you know, and how despite her mistakes and despite the fight, she still should go back. So I don't know. I think its jarringness might be partially the point.
Sure.
It definitely doesn't work 100% of the time.
No.
But I do admire them for trying to do something new and take a risk. As I've always said, even about things that don't work, like Batman v Superman, I admire it for taking risks.
Definitely.
So it's fine. I don't know, but it does definitely beat down the pace quite a bit, and I was waiting for it to be over, like that episode. I was like, okay, please. It does make you think, though. It makes you wonder, because I saw an interview with the Duffer Brothers who talked about it as being like a story in a bottle thing, where it's a self-contained story in that episode.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder what a Stranger Things anthology series, like we've talked about before, as we've said in the past, would be like, where it's like, here's this episode's a story from this corner of the Stranger Things universe, and this is a story from this corner of the Stranger Things universe, you know, and they all loosely tie together. Maybe one's the story of number 8, maybe one's the story of number 10, maybe, you know, one's the story of someone who sees the Upside Down. So sort of like a 10 Cloverfield Lane-esque anthology type of thing. So it gives you an idea of what that could be like if they ever chose to go in that direction, which I think could be interesting. But definitely, given too much screen time, definitely would have been better if they spiced it up with some subplots intertwined there. So,
but like the other stuff with 11 is great. Like I said, with Hopper, really great chemistry between them. You know, you
really
feel
good.
for 11 being held up when she goes out. You feel for her, and you want her to meet back up with Mike, and so yeah. I mean, the other stuff with her was really good. You know, of course, the ending when she closes the gate. You know, that's very.
She went full Dark Phoenix mode right there.
Did.
That was so X-Men. So X-Men. Like I you know,
the best Dark Phoenix story we've got.
So true.
It really is.
But they really do, like, you know, they really do take some inspiration from X-Men that people don't even realize. Like, you know, in season 1, he says, "I'm going to take your X-Men 124."
Yeah.
And then that's an issue about a telekinetic Jean Grey who's discovering her powers for the first time, and similar to 11. So it's, and then you've got the whole thing with this that feels sort of mutants being hunted thing in episode 7, and then the full embrace your powers, close the thing, you know, Dark Phoenix mode type thing there. Cool. So she's definitely got some parallels to Jean Grey in some respects.
Definitely.
I wish she would have gotten rid of the weird look.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that was something that was given to her by them, and she's not a part of them.
Exactly.
So when you come home, can you please, like, spruce up your hair, make it fuzzy again?
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
You know,
get rid of the emo look or whatever. So
right.
It felt very, very out of place, but
it did. She looked like she was in a music video at times, and she looked like you said, it made you think of the real Millie Bobby Brown, because she wears her hair like that at times in real life.
Yeah, definitely.
And I saw a tweet that said, "Sorry, the old 11 can't come to the phone right now."
Yeah.
Why? Because she's dead. It was so. Look what you made me do. Like,
so clever. Well.
But yeah, I thought she was good. I enjoyed her arc.
Definitely.
Very off-putting that episode, but it's fine. Yeah.
Comes back.
And when she finally reinforces, what's the word? Reunites.
Yeah, reunites.
What time is it? It's 6:30. That makes sense. When she finally reunites with Mike.
Why are you checking?
What?
Why are you checking the time?
Because I was wondering why I was scrambling my words so much if it was late.
Oh.
When she finally reunites with Mike, it's a welcome and heartwarming addition. Although I liked that Mike got real mad at Hopper. That was a good scene.
That was nice.
Yeah. This episode is going really long.
It's going really long.
So why don't we just talk about the boys in general?
The boys.
I feel like Mike gets a bit of short shrift in this season.
He does. For sure.
Like, and it's fine for them to sort of, like, alternate who's the one that gets more screen time with the characters, because he doesn't have to be the main character. And I liked that Dustin got more screen time this season.
Yeah.
But it is like, they start the season and it seems like they're setting up an arc with him. Like, because we find out that he's been, like, mopey, and he did some graffiti, and, like, his parents...
Yeah.
He's been in trouble a lot recently.
Exactly.
And it's so clear that that's because of 11. And then that's sort of dropped.
Yeah,
and then he just goes off with Joyce and chills with Will.
Yeah.
You know, until the very end. So, I don't know. He's fine.
I mean, he's fine. He works for his purpose. I felt like it was warranted some where, I mean, he did lose 11. That was like such a good relationship for him that was just beginning, and he was so excited about it, and it's taken away from him just like that, you know. And so I felt like it makes sense that he's resistant to Max joining the party, and he's just not like he doesn't want to welcome the change, basically.
Although we had already seen that played out with Lucas in season 1, where he was like, "I don't want 11 in part of this party."
Sure,
you know?
Sure, good point.
So that, to me, his whole "I don't want you to be part of this" thing felt kind of cliche and
I see that,
reused. But yeah, I thought his acting got better in this season.
For sure.
He's
of them
grown up quite
improved.
a bit. Yeah. I think he arguably was one of the weaker ones in season 1.
I felt like him and Lucas were.
were the weaker ones.
I felt like Lucas especially was very weak in season 1.
And they both improved.
Yes, without a doubt. I mentioned to my friend, you can tell that who plays Mike? What's his name?
Finn Wolfhard.
Finn Wolfhard, yeah. You can tell he's been around the cool kids on the cast of It, you know. You can tell he's kind of like grown up a little, and you heard he picked up a bad mouth, right, on the set of It, and so he kind of translated that over. You could tell he was a bit of a punk, so it was nice. I thought all of their acting improved.
I worry about those kids, man. I want them to stay pure forever.
Exactly.
He's a remarkably good actor now, though. Like his character in It, Richie, is a totally different character, especially to this Mike. That's grown a bit. Like he's complete comedic relief. And this Mike was actually probably the most serious one in the story this season. Yeah, he was good. I wish he'd gotten more screen time. Like. Sure. Honestly, if you cut the stupid stuff with Max and her brother, and given Finn more Mike more screen time, Mike more screen time, I think that would have helped a lot.
Benefits,
yeah.
It was really transitioning over to Dustin and Lucas. It was nice to see some more of their family, you know.
Yeah, it was cool to see Dustin's mom. Yeah,
definitely. Lucas's family at the dinner table, that was fun, you know. And
of course, Lucas, they had to go with the trope of the sassy black sister.
Yes, of course.
I'm black and I'm sassy, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I liked what they did there. It was nice to see that. And did you like what they did with Dustin and Dart? The baby Demogorgon and all.
Yeah, I did.
You did?
He seems like the type of person who might fall for that, sure. I think. Because, like, the whole time for me, I hate animals.
No kidding.
Like, I actually, the dog that we take care of sometimes has grown on me a bit. But in general, I don't connect with animals that much. And so it's always hard for me, personally, to believe that I would ever care anything about an animal.
Yeah.
Like, if I was gonna, like, if something bad was gonna happen to me, if I protected my dog, I would not protect my dog. Like, if it was like, I have to go to jail, or I, like, get super sick, or I die because I own a dog, then I would just kill the dog. Like, I don't... I know I'm insensitive, but, like, I don't care about the lives of animals. So...
Oh, no.
Sorry, that's an oversimplification. I care about the lives of animals, but I would never, ever, ever value their life over my life. Because I have a soul. You
go John Wick on some dudes for killing your dog?
No, I wouldn't. In fact, that's... I like John Wick a lot, but it is a thing where I'm like, I wouldn't be that mad if they killed the dog. Although they give him the extra layer that it was his wife gave him that dog. So that's a lot more meaningful, I think.
It is.
But it is like... People spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars on their pets for medical treatment and everything. I'm like, never in a million years would I ever pay more than $1,000 on never. Like,
boy, do I hope you marry a dog person. Oh my gosh.
Lord. And they can come back and listen to this clip and dump me.
I so hope you do. Oh my gosh, that would be golden.
And I would not pay for the like crazy vet.
You will, because it's gonna be your wife, and you're gonna have to. Because it's gonna be true love.
Oh no. Anyway, so
back
on topic. Fine. That was quite a rant.
Yes, I thought it was.
I'm not a person who would care about an animal, but I believe that Dustin would. He seems like that type of kid, so I liked that. I liked him taking care of the animal. And it was very E.T. He gives it Reese's Pieces, which is classic E.T. And then it eats the cat.
Oh, my heck.
It was so good. It was so good.
Out, like, gee whiz.
Did you suspect it was a baby Demogorgon from the start?
I did not, but,
no?
When was it? My friend mentioned, leading up to that cat scene, he mentioned, it's a baby Demogorgon. And I was like, no. And then, of course, it was, and that was fun. Fun to see.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Dustin, Lucas, I felt like they served their purpose.
I liked that he sort of had the spotlight. He was definitely doing the most out of all of them. Like,
Definitely.
Mike kind of came along for the ride. Lucas did nothing. Like, Lucas was just sort of telling Max about stuff.
He was just hitting on Max the whole time, honestly.
Right. But I almost called him Gayton. Dustin was the one who was really actively trying to do something. And part of that was just that he was trying to pay penance for the fact that he'd let this beast loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it growing and everything, and that was pretty scary early on. Especially, and when it's eating the cat, that was sort of reminiscent of when it was eating the deer in the woods in season 1. Ooh. Did you think that those Demodogs were like gonna grow into Demogorgons, or were they just a different species?
Yeah, I thought they were.
They were what?
They were gonna grow into Demogorgons.
Yeah? Yeah,
full grown. Yeah.
I'd like to think that too.
I was thinking this. I was thinking that if they didn't get rid of them soon enough, you'd have an army of Demogorgons running about, which is terrifying.
Well, and it was totally. I loved the whole. It's totally the aliens thing.
Yeah.
You start with the first movie is Alien. It's just the one.
Yeah.
Second movie, you've got hundreds of them of that one that you took so long to beat in the first season.
Definitely.
I thought they sort of varied in terms of intimidation. Like,
yeah, definitely.
There were times when they were really scary, like when they kill Bob and stuff. Like that scene was terrifying.
Don't do it to me.
But there were other times like. And when Steve was fighting them, that was good. That was pretty scary. And when we first see that there are multiples, when he goes out to fight the one and then they're circling all around. Oh my gosh! And they start going on the bus and everything. That was
Jurassic
terrifying.
Park reference there. It's like
total Velociraptor stuff.
The one stares you down and they attack you from the side.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Super good.
Yeah, and then total Jurassic Park with they had to put in the codes to open the doors and stuff. That was a major part of Jurassic Park is the doors can't be opened unless you hack the system and stuff.
Bob,
so I enjoyed all that.
Coming in
clutch.
Yes.
I liked the idea that there was this armada of them.
Definitely.
I think they could have been played a little bit more scary, especially towards the end.
Sure.
But they were good. Yeah, they were solid.
Definitely. Served their purpose. I like them.
And I enjoyed Dustin's involvement with the whole thing. He's a lot funnier this season, I thought.
Yeah, he is.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think he is.
He was very funny.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I mean, I guess we'll segue into this. Great team up with a name a more iconic duo. I'll wait.
Myth, the legend.
Steve Harrington and Dustin.
Yes.
It's so good.
I love it.
It's so good.
I love Steve. He honestly has to be my favorite character of the whole entire show.
I might even agree. And I love how by the end of season 1, Nancy is with Steve and we feel bad for Jonathan. By the end of season 2, Nancy's with Jonathan, presumably, and we feel bad for Steve.
Yeah, but he is just such a good character because he becomes Dustin's bigger brother, essentially,
Yeah.
And I love how he's watching over these kids, and he is so freaking mature throughout the whole thing,
Yeah.
He accepts that Jonathan is with Nancy now, and, it wasn't working out with them, and, I mean, he's just such a good dude, and when
it was really interesting to see the tables have turned almost, where now he's the one who's kind of manned up and decided to be mature in this relationship. Yeah. And he's trying to tell her not to drink all this punch and stuff.
That. Yeah.
Which in the first season he would have been the one drinking.
He was the one drinking. Exactly.
But now he's the adult and she's really the one who's still stuck being a kid. And I really liked that a lot.
So good.
And his whole mentorship with all the kids and me and this babysitter, I thought was so good. Yeah. What a stellar evolution of a character.
I know.
That really just I love how far he's come. He's so charismatic.
He is.
It's really good stuff.
I love it, and his conversation with Dustin is amazing.
About the hair,
about the hair, about the girl conflict, and him giving him advice, and Oh, he's just such a good dude, and I love him. I love him so much.
Yeah.
So much. I mean, when season 1 ended, after he freaking took the bat and just handed it to that Demogorgon, I was like, my man, you know?
Yeah.
And even after this, I love that Dustin's like, you still got that bat? And like that's his signature this whole entire show. And so, yeah, I love Steve. I love what they did with him.
He was so good. And the actor Joe Keery really proved himself.
He's so good.
He's so good. But yeah, I loved him teaming up with Dustin. It was a really good.
Yeah.
And I always love seeing like older teenagers team up with younger teenagers.
Yeah.
It's always a fun dynamic because
it is.
I like seeing people that aren't that far apart age-wise, but they're so different. And one becomes the mentor for the other, trying to teach them how things work. It's really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I loved how...
Take a shot every time we say it's really good in this episode.
I loved how Dustin and Lucas and Mike, they're all pretty much smarter scientifically than Steve. You know?
Right, I love his essay.
Yeah.
The war and the game are the same because we both won.
Exactly.
It's really good.
So good. And I mean, Steve, he's just, I love it. Love it.
What'd you think of Nancy and Jonathan?
Nancy and Jonathan.
How was the pullout? So good.
Dude, that whole scene, me and my friend were cracking up.
It was really good.
When he is just destroying them both, you know? He's just picking them apart.
I like the conspiracy theorist guy. I liked him. And early on, I was worried that he would be too much of a presence in the thing. Like, I thought he might get annoying and be
Definitely.
like too big of a character, but no, they utilized him and balanced his presence in the show really good, really well. Yeah.
So good. I love it.
Nancy, I was a little disappointed in.
Yeah?
I think she had a good startup, like with the getting drunk and then breaking up with Steve thing. And she obviously had this guilt about Barb that was huge.
Yeah.
And we felt that early on when she's like crying and stuff.
That kind of felt flat near the end, though.
Yeah, it really started to fade because it was like, well, we're mailing it off.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the adventure we had. What a fight. And also there were some things that I just felt like I wish she had changed a bit. Like at the end of season 1, one of my favorite things is how she and her brother Mike, another one of these examples of older teenager, younger teenager making amends.
Yeah.
They agree to tell each other everything. She's like, from now on, no secrets. We tell each other everything, and they agree. And then in this season, the first time they see each other, she's shouting "a-hole" at him as he runs off with a piggy bank.
Yeah.
And then they pretty much don't talk the whole season.
Sure.
You know, I liked their familial relationship.
Sure.
In season 1, and I liked how
definitely could have been expanded on without a doubt.
I liked how big of a deal it was that they were siblings. Like when she sees the helicopter and she's like, those are from Mike, my brother, my little brother.
Yeah.
You know, and she actually cares about her little brother deep down and everything. It's really good. But here they dropped that quite a bit. In favor of, I guess, more of the romantic subplots between her and Steve and Jonathan and the Barb thing.
Yeah.
So it's fine. I don't know. It's fine. It felt odd that she was in the room with Jonathan during Will's exorcism. Because she served no purpose at all.
Yeah, I guess that was a little odd.
Because the thing that I do like about the end of season 1 is that everyone has a purpose, has a part to play.
Sure,
like
definitely.
The Jonathan and Steve and Nancy team up to fight the Demogorgon.
Yeah.
The Hopper and Joyce are
going upside down.
Going in the upside down. What are the kids doing at the end?
They're
they're in the school.
They're freaking killing the Demogorgon.
Right, they're killing the Demogorgon. Huge deal.
Yeah.
But with this, it did feel like some of the characters were just sort of waiting around. They didn't have as much to do.
Definitely.
Which I wasn't a fan of. But yeah, it's the thing is, like, all the things we're talking about, almost none of them are bad. It's just it could have been better.
Could have been. Yeah, it worked. It served its purpose. It just could have been executed a little bit better.
Yeah.
Doesn't take too much away from the whole show. But yeah, I almost said film there. It doesn't take a whole much from the film, so.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But I liked your relationship with Jonathan. I thought that was good.
Definitely, that's cool.
I loved how Mike and Nancy's parents have evolved. In that they just don't care anymore.
Oh yeah, so true. So true.
Ted is just like, do our kids even live here anymore? I don't know. Ted is my spirit animal. He's my favorite character. I love him so much.
Oh, typical dad. I love how the dads are just.
There's the bit where he's talking to the government people, and he's like, "We are A-OK, patriots here. We pledged America."
Yeah.
And they're voting Reagan, Bush, 84, everything. It's perfect.
Turf.
But yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what about that weird scene with the mom and Billy?
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you Nancy's sister?"
That was so whack.
I felt like that was it felt very 80s. It felt very much like,
yeah, for sure.
Because the 80s weird things happen like that. It felt like it felt like the scene in Ferris Bueller where the sister sees Charlie Sheen in the police station. Remember that bit? She starts making out with him and he's on drugs and whatever. Yeah. It felt a bit like that. Sure. But again, it's one of those sequences with the brother, Billy, that has no bearing on the plot whatsoever. No. You know? So.
Speaking of Ferris Bueller, you had a nice Ferris Bueller right at the beginning of the show when they're all in the classroom. They're all just kind of there. You got a bubblegum pop, you know, and they're just like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It was clearly a nice little throwback to Ferris Bueller classroom environment, you know. Yeah. So that was fun.
I like the teacher's small but limited role in it.
Yeah.
It is. There were some things where I was like, I wish there was more of a payoff for those characters. Like the teacher, by the end of season 1, he's had a payoff where he helps them build the
definitely
the sensory deprivation tank. Here, he's just kind of there, you know. Mm-hmm. But what else are you gonna do? I guess like you can't cut him out of the story, so he's just got to be there at some point.
They did have a nice setup and payoff with the Morse code, you know.
Oh, I did like that.
With,
yeah.
11 and Hop, and then Will. That's how he's communicating. So
yeah,
that was cool.
Evidently, the Demogorgon had control of his lips, but not control of his fingers.
Yeah, got him.
Got him. Did you get the thing that when the phone rang, then the Demogorgon, or then the Mind Flayer knew where they were because of the phone ringing?
I just feel like that was a bit odd. Like, how? I mean, it's just a phone, like they said.
Right.
But
I think he knew the specific phone ringing sound.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess.
I mean, I guess maybe he hears a phone faintly in the distance. I mean, he's been to this shed before, right? And so I don't know. So I guess it would be the first place that he would look, right? Mm-hmm. His own home base. So I don't know.
What did you think of the whole Mind Flayer? I feel so dumb saying that.
Mind
and it sounds like I have like a list. The Mind Flayer.
Mind Flayer.
Because it sounds like Slayer.
Yeah.
But what did you think of the giant spider as a villain, as an antagonist?
I liked him. I mean,
obviously, he's manifested more through Will than anything else.
Sure, definitely. And I mean, I don't know how much you can really say about him because. I mean, he is kind of generic, just in their head, controlling all these dudes. You know, it's one big organism. He feels the burning from inside. You know that. I
enjoyed the whole hot and cold thing, and also
yeah.
It's a payoff from season 1. Even the Demogorgon hated fire.
Yeah, exactly.
And they burn it with fire. So I like that.
Yeah, but I felt like he was. I felt like he was menacing. You know. Like, especially when Will's transitioning between the two. Like, oh, man, that's... Especially in the cloud. And then he goes in him, and you're like, oh, he's in him, you know, so...
I did feel like it lacked a payoff. Like...
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We've got a lot of setup. He's in all the trailers, the giant spider. It's on the poster, the giant spider. It's... Will keeps seeing it in the visions, the giant spider. And then it's still alive by the end of the thing.
Exactly.
And it's like, what was the point then? You know?
They get it out of him. But, it just kind of goes into the world. And is that still in this world, or did it go back upside down? Or
well, evidently it went back upside down based on the end thing. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it was just...
It just feels weird to me that, like, we had Demogorgon was the villain in season 1, and then it was the giant spider was the villain in season 2. But it's like, is he going to be the villain again in season 3? You know, it just feels off.
But how are you going to defeat that, you know?
Right. Through the power of love. That's what they'll do.
Together.
If we just believe we can.
We'll do it together. Yeah, so I don't know.
If we believe we can. It's pretty good. Man. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like I wish either... a couple things I wish would have happened with the villain. One of which was, it seems to have more of like consciousness.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Demogorgon is just a big old beast.
Yeah.
But the spider, it's speaking through will.
Yeah.
So it's got more of a mind, evident in the name, the Mind Flayer.
Uh-huh.
But we never really get like its mission statement.
No,
you know, like there's no like evil speech, and I get like, you know, that might be cliche or blah blah blah, but it would have been a little bit better if it's a thing that thinks.
Sure.
To know what its whole deal is.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's part of the, like it's part of it's just its sole purpose is to consume, I guess, you know, and all of a sudden this portal to this whole nother dimension or whatever you want to call it, it's open, so just expand, you know, grow. That's his whole building these tunnels under Hawkins, you know, he's expanding, you know, just to consume. So
yeah
that's what I felt. But yeah, it would have been, I mean, I definitely don't want everything explained, you know. I don't want to know what and why and where and who and all that jazz, you know, because things left unsaid are always better, I feel. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that'll be interesting to develop in season 3. And
yeah,
I read a thing where they said they didn't want to leave as many cliffhangers in season 2 as in season 1, where like season 1 we were like, what deal did Hopper make with the people? Which evidently I guess was that he covers up what they did or keeps things quiet for them or something.
Yeah.
He made a deal with the people. He's leaving waffles in the thing. Will's coughing up slugs, all these things. But with this, there really weren't very many loose ends, except for the fact that it's still out there. So maybe that means things are unresolved.
Yeah.
You know? So what did you think of that? Because for some reason, I feel like I almost wish there were more loose ends. You know, because it feels almost like we had too much closure by the end of this, to the point where when we come back for season 3, which is happening, then it may feel like it's like, man, this is gonna keep going on.
Yeah,
you know?
that is a good point, because it is very just upside down is upside down, and real world is real world, basically. You know,
right?
World. They're separate, you know. Nothing's spooks. I mean, yeah, it was very subtle. Just
I guess what I'm saying is that season 1 ended, and we'd solved the mystery of season 1, but it definitely didn't feel like we'd solved all the problems.
Yeah,
but with this, it feels like we've pretty much solved all the problems.
Yeah,
you know, but maybe that's the nature of
I don't know.
a third movie. I don't know.
Duffer Brothers, I mean, they got a 30-page essay or something on
the upside down, yeah.
So I feel like this is their thing. They know what they're doing. I feel like, I mean, yes, it's not near as a cliffhanger as the first one. There still are some unanswered questions, theories out there, but
yeah,
it works for me, you know. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where things go.
Yes.
I do hope that they end after 3 seasons.
Oh, yes.
Or after the warranted amount of seasons, right? Sure. Like, a Stranger Things trilogy would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that feel good? Hitchcock, we could buy a box set, Hitchcock. A box set of all 3 VHS tapes, right?
Oh, yes.
Wouldn't that be amazing? 3 Stranger Things VHS tapes.
Watch them release the second one.
On just a normal Blu-ray.
Wouldn't
that make you want to die? Oh, my God.
Triggered.
Oh, man. But they did say that season 3 will be set a year later, because they have to do that because the kids keep growing. You know?
Exactly. And that was the thing. I mean, they're going to be
right. At what point
will
they grow up? Yeah. You really do have to. You can't keep going on forever.
No. But
I would be open to like a spin-off or, again, like I said, an anthology series. Sure. But I want Hawkins to end after 3 seasons, I think.
I would like, I mean, because they are, they're in 8th grade, right? So
they'll be in 9th grade in the next one, so they'll be in high school.
Yeah, freshmen. Mm-hmm. So it will be, I think it definitely is going to be cool to see a high school version of these kids, you know?
Yeah.
So, see them grow, but yeah, I mean, they do have to be careful because they can butcher it bad.
Right. So. And I really do think that all good TV shows only have 2 or 3 good seasons. I mean, that's just the truth.
Yes.
Like,
without a doubt.
And sometimes some shows like make a revitalization. Arrow right now, like it had 2 good seasons, then like, you know, 2 real bad ones, and now it's making a comeback or something. You know, but yeah, I've talked about this much before. I think closure is so important. And I don't want to see things go on forever.
Do not stretch it out.
Yeah.
You know, do not, don't make a Toy Story 4, you know.
And I also, exactly. And I don't want them to jump the shark either. Because this season very much is a bigger and better thing.
Sure.
And I think it works. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think the bigger stakes of it with the giant monster this time and with the big rift she has to close, like, it feels huge. It's a much bigger deal. And there's, like, an army of them, you know.
Without a doubt.
Of the Demodogs. But... Demodogs. But I think this is as big as it should get. Because I don't want season 3 to be some sort of, like, world-ending, colossal, you know.
Not at all.
It's a lot better as a mystery thriller, investigatory. Is that a word? Investigatory, sort of small scale horror thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I felt like this season 2 did it perfectly. It didn't go over that edge to this whole world destruction. You know, it still felt very contained to Hawkins. You know.
Yeah.
And that's partly why the other 11 going away felt so out of place. It was like, we're out of Hawkins, you know, it doesn't feel right.
Right, yeah.
And so, even if, I mean, this was a big threat, because if these things got out, it wouldn't have just destroyed Hawkins, it would have destroyed everything, you know, so, but it did feel very contained to Hawkins, it felt minimalized, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely do not want to see it go bigger, like you said. Keep it contained. See some more monsters, you know. I always love seeing monsters. I love how this is like they related to Dungeons and Dragons so perfectly.
Oh yeah, of course.
I love how it's so tied in with it, and they're able to use that knowledge, the kids' knowledge of just the game, you know.
Yeah.
Like a game that the kids love, you know. Just
Stranger Things is very much about how the kids are the ones who see things in a different way, and how sometimes the way that they see things adds context and adds understanding. And they believe stuff a lot more easily, you know?
Yeah.
So when things get strange, if you please, they are the ones who first realize it.
Really cool. Really
also,
cool.
real quick, one of the other things that I think is so good about both seasons that I think Stranger Things does really well is... and we talked about this, subplots, you know, it's all separate stories going on. This person figuring out this piece of the puzzle. This person figuring out this piece of the puzzle. And the audience doesn't know the full picture yet either, but they are starting to piece together things before the characters do.
Putting together a puzzle,
and so, as the season goes on, we're constantly like, just talk to each other. Start conversing. We need y'all to talk to each other so these puzzle pieces can be put together, you know. And so, especially in season 1, and to some degree in season 2, it becomes extremely satisfying when everyone comes together at the end to fight, because we've been waiting for it the whole season for them to finally pool their knowledge.
Season 1, that clearly works. They clearly do that much better in season 1. You know, it clearly, which I think that's partly, it's such a small, contained mystery that it takes all these different missions of figuring it out, doing their own kind of thing in their own way to put together the pieces. And then when you just have this big, just massive monster, it's kind of just all there in front of you. You know, and you don't need as much problem solving. You know, it's much more straightforward. And so I think that's another advantage of they are so good at using these subplots that keep it small, keep it contained, because then you can really grow that aspect of your show, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely really want them to see more of that, because I literally think when we did our episode on season 1, we mentioned how we absolutely love seeing them all come together and just put together.
Come together.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man.
So, do you think it's better than season 1?
No.
Me neither.
No. Not better.
I think it's a worthy sequel.
Definitely.
And I think it's almost as perfect as a sequel could be.
Yeah.
I've got some gripes. We talked about them.
I think
but it's a very enjoyable experience. And in terms of just like, it's really something that you can be communal with. Like, I really did get a sense when we were watching it at this party, like, everyone can enjoy it. You know? Yeah. Like, there's something for everyone. These middle school girls loved it. My friends who are high school boys loved it. Adults love it. It's such and I think there's something to be said. You know, there's great things about movies that are niche and can only be appreciated by certain people. But there's something to be said for making a movie like Star Wars or something that is so universal and so, I wouldn't even say like common or mainstream, because like so many times people think things that are appreciated by everyone must be dumb because the masses are dumb.
Yeah.
But I think there's more to that than what people let on. And I think there is an art to creating things that are universal but still well crafted and well executed. So I think it's great. I'm going to go rewatch it or parts of it probably tonight. It's been 24 hours since we started it last.
Oh man.
Man, it's all over now.
I know. Can't believe.
But BT Dubs Hitchcock, my phone's at 2%.
Oh shoot.
So we need to wrap up.
All right. What do you finish it off? Since this is a movie, what do you give it out of 22?
Oh yes. I'm going to go a 19. 19 or 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah, I think I'd go...
Our nonsensical out of 22 rating system.
I think I'd go 18, a little bit below that. I think season 1 is more of a 21.
Yeah.
So, because this definitely falls short of season 1. Not in a bad way, just not near.
Not in a bad way, don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's safe to say this is our pick of the week, right?
This is our pick of the week, isn't it? We've also been watching the Gifted on Fox, which is pretty good. But I think we'll talk about that next week or something.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, we should get into that at some point, but not today.
Yeah.
This has been our longest episode in a very long time. But I think people will appreciate it. Actually, I think people who like Stranger Things will love to.
I hope. Hopefully,
it's like talking to real friends that you have. It's like we're your real friends. We're your real buddies. It's authentic.
We're
authenticity.
So relatable.
It's like how I feel when I listen to the Weekly Planet.
It's so relatable.
Hashtag relatable. Hashtag authentic. Hashtag wing it. All right.
4 days.
Where can people find us on social media, Hitchcock?
I'm at nerd_stream7 on all of it.
Oh yes.
Twitter, Instas.
You also have a new profile picture, which was some art done by at Joel Rat Resort. The Joel Rat Resort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, legend.
It's pretty great. He did my Blade Runner, Houston Blade Runner art as well, which is great.
Did one of Tron of me on my request.
Looks really cool.
Super cool.
I'm at Blockbusted Pod on Twitter and at Houston Productions 1 on Instagram. Also, if you would like to support the show on Patreon, support HP1 or support Blockbusted, it's patreon.com/Houston Productions 1. There's a lot of stuff on there lately, like some audio reviews that I've done where pretty much every movie that I've seen in a theater as of late. I have a movie pass now, so that's been cool.
Yes, you do. That's cool.
So all the movies I've seen in Movie Pass in theaters, I have done little like 20-minute audio reviews of and posted them for patrons only. So that's just one of the many exclusive things you can get on Patreon when you pledge only $1. So patreon.com/Houston Productions 1.
Awesome.
And that should be it. Next week, Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited. Cool. I don't think it's gonna be great, but it'll be fun. You know.
Sure. Thoughts coming next week.
Yep. All right. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
We will.
When things get Stranger. What even is this, guys?
Let's go.
Yes. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Iconic. #iconic.
Beautiful. So good.
My phone's at 1%.